You want a picture of me? Here's a picture of me.
Some birds just aren't meant to be caged.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Enhance.
Their photographs are just too bright.
I am like right out of a movie right there.
There you go. Desktop that bitch. Get my ass out of there.
You want me? Okay, fine. I'm just
fucking do it, man. It's your turn.
Set
I've done 10,000 of these. This is your first one. There you go.
I am so hot. So is Alex. So technically, it's 9:30, right?
It's 9:30.
But according to my desktop, because I'm from North Dakota, it's 8:30.
So we got an hour to continue to set up. Is that what you're saying?
Shit. Is everybody here over 18? Can we swear? You're over 18? Oh, thank
shit.
God.
We got 4 people in the audience. I don't give a shit.
Hey, should I try and attempt to do that intro?
Yeah. What, dude? Do it. It's MAGFest. It's MAGFest.
Hold on. I have that file. Let me try and play it and see if I can set volume. Wait, where is that? I saved. Oh, it's under downloads. Downloads. Sure.
Ask a question.
Yes, it is.
Panel 2 random nonsense. Alexander Brandon and Chris Serrani.
On the floor. On the floor is Mr. Alex Brandon, and up here is somebody that nobody has ever heard of.
No, his name is Chris Serrani, a.k.a. Fleck, a.k.a. guy that's taken most of the awesome-ass pictures you've ever seen about MAGFest.
Why, thank you.
He's been in the shadows for too long.
I'm a MAGFest veteran. I usually did staffing and photography, and now I'm sitting up here because I'm not staffing. Hello.
Yay!
I'm gonna see.
You're in the right place.
So I was going to try and do a fun intro. I'm going to see if this file plays. Yes. Yes. No. This is something Alex made. So, can you hear me all right out there? Excellent. So the funny thing is, I didn't save that script.
That's why they call this random nonsense.
So you see, I wrote this script because way back in the day, I did this. This is like right after college, 2004. I got back from college, and I was sick as hell. So I had this really, really low voice, like lower than what I can do now. I can't do it naturally. And I'm like, my voice is so low, I sound like a detective. So I recorded this whole like 3-4 minute long detective thing. It's like really old. I do have it here, and I will probably play it.
He's about to let it fly.
Should I play it first?
Fucking do it, man.
And then people can hear how low I can't make my voice naturally? Okay. That's under a different folder.
There's no doubt, man.
Files for MAGFest. Where is that? The detective. So yes, I made this right after college. Oh yeah.
March 24th, 2004. The day started off like any other. My partner James asleep on top of the car, and me realizing that this wasn't coffee. We were on day 2 of investigating the murder of Tim Ekibus, possibly one of the more successful film producers in this day and age. He somehow got caught up in something bad, and now he's dead. Our leads from yesterday got us nowhere, but watching James get rained on as he slept on top of the car was pretty funny. I knew there was only one man I could talk to for answers, so I got in our rented Geo Metro and made my way towards the market strip. I swear to God the car is a rental. Excuse me, son. I hate to bug you again, but I need answers.
Thank you for choosing Super Burger, home of the Super Burger. Can I take your order?
We had a similar discussion before. Tell me who is behind the Ekibus murder. This is an order.
I'm sorry, sir. We don't serve eggplant here. You have to order
The kid
off
must have
the
known I was up to something, but I already knew what I needed to say to get my answers. All right. I need a large answer, a medium hassle, and there better not be a fee. I didn't get last week's paycheck.
Oh, I'm reading the screen, bitch.
Was that a Dr. P you wanted with that?
Wait a minute. What was that, son?
A Dr. P.
Dr. P? Impossible. There's no way he could be behind all this. I know he was no small fry, but he sure is no soft drink either. If he is the mastermind, he's making me run through chutes and ladders to find him. Unfortunately, I was already numero uno on Dr. P's hit list. He'll be sorry he ever played games with me, but his monopoly in the red light district was strong, and it would take a real bargain hunter to take it down. My next stop was the Milton Hotel.
Whoa!
On getting out of the car, I was impressed to see that James was still clinging to the top. At least he was awake now. The Milton Hotel was a common place for Dr. P to do his dirty work. Last encounter I had with him, he was mixing lights and darks, a very unstable chemical. James had pulled out his trusty Era, but Dr. P mysteriously faded away before we had a chance to bounce him.
I'll find you someday, Dr. P.
As I came up to the door, I suddenly felt something poking me in the back. It was either James playing another joke, or the cold barrel of Dr. P's cane gun he found on eBay. I was ready to turn around and fight, but she was with him.
Well, so we meet again, Mr. Detective, or whatever your name is.
That's a good joke coming from a villain with a one-letter name. The creepy guy has a point, though. I have no idea what my name is.
Hello, Mr. Detective.
Humana. P should never be all over a woman this hot.
You should start being careful, Mr. Detective. We don't want anybody else missing from the ending credits now, do we?
The girl smiled. I smiled back. At this point, James finally realized the threat, but due to his lack of judgment, tackled the lady instead of P. Dr. P quickly took off, and I realized that with James being too stupid to get up, I was on my own for the chase.
And I'm going to stop it there because it's a terrible ending.
Oh, Lord.
Hello. Welcome to my panel and Alex's. How are you?
What's up?
It looks like did they take away the dual link between the two, or? Oh, okay. One is okay.
She knows all. Going to fix between the dual link.
I know. Let's not think about that.
Yeah. We're going with
Because
what we got.
Why would you? Let's not think about it. We're all technicians here. There's mints? Yeah. What happens if I mix them with Red Bull?
All right.
I did have a lot of laundry references in the thing I just played. I could attempt doing that fake intro and making it up as I go.
Why don't you do the fake intro and just do it
As I
live?
close my terrible
There you go.
notepad thing I just wrote. Which thing? Was this the one that went to the other? This is probably the one that went to the other here. This is the other.
Every convention, no matter where I go, always has the same problems. How do I hook this video cable up and make it work properly?
Okay, so apparently I remember setting this up yesterday. We should get wireless mics. That would be the cool thing of the future.
So we've got one, but not the other still. Oh, yeah.
What does this even go to? Oh, cool. I should plug that in. Yeah. Computer. Enhance.
Enhance. We're good with one screen, seriously.
So that's interesting. I thought I turned the other. Is it on? Computer. Turn on projector. I swear to God, I turned it on.
Enhance. And now, for some reason, we got some scan lines on this. Authentic arcade scan line action.
You know what? We can roll with it. This is random nonsense. And that right there is random nonsense.
Totally is.
You know what? I think. Do you want to just roll with it?
We're going to roll.
We're going to roll with it.
Oh, my God.
That is Projector 7400. That is a really good model. No, actually, it's not. It doesn't have automatically adjustable feet, and you know that. Let's not think about it. I set them up, too. They're stupid. Thanks, whichever company made Projector 7400.
We got two screens.
Right, so where were we?
All right, we're gonna go with the intro. We're gonna get going right now.
We're gonna attempt this. After I adjust the volume a little bit. MAGFest 2015. It started off like any other, me driving across half the United States and realizing my copy was 2 months old. I should really clean my car out more often. I was on a mission to find the elusive Brandon A. Alias A. Brandon, alias Alexander Brandon, long for Alex Brandon. I showed up at MAGFest to check into the hotel, and wouldn't you know it, she was there again. Hello there, Mr. Detective. Looking for someone? No, ma'am. I'm just here on business. So am I, Mr. Detective. Let me buy you a drink. I could already tell she was on to me. And then I could feel his cold stare from right behind me. Except he's standing right in front of me right now instead of up here. We meet again! Yeah, Mr. Brandon A. Alias A. Brandon. Alias Alexander Brandon. I should have kept the script. Long for Alex Brandon. What are you doing here this time for a diabolical plot? You can talk now.
Okay. Everybody give it up for Chris Serrani.
Yay!
Detective vocal intro. I'm essentially going to welcome everybody. If you're not at a concert, if you're not at one of the other panels, if you're not at something else, and you've chosen to come to Random Nonsense, then you're just like, I just want some random nonsense, then I'm going to applaud you.
I'm going to applaud too.
And now I want you to applaud yourselves. Seriously, you're here
Yay!
to literally experience part of the spirit that MAGFest is about, which is, what are we doing here? We're just having fun. We just,
And I'll go into my Morgan Freeman voice. In all seriousness, no, we're here to just experience what it is that makes MAGFest that amazing. And, thanks to Chris Serrani and his intros, that just makes it that much more dramatic. But the fact is, we're here to educate, we're here to entertain, we're here to do all the kind of things that everybody here enjoys.
And believe it or not, we might actually talk about something useful.
Something useful that will actually help everybody in their endeavors, whether that's career-based or creative-based, doesn't matter what it is. So, item one we actually did have an agenda. I don't know if you have that available anywhere.
Why, please hold.
But, you know what? Before you even get to that, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Alexander Brandon. Getting back into my normal voice, I have written music for games for roughly 20 years, starting with, anybody here heard of Epic Mega Games / Epic Games? Gears of War of late, and now they're doing Fortnite. Way back in the day, I started doing a shooter for them called Tyrion, followed by this first-person shooter called Unreal, followed by a first-person game called Unreal Tournament, followed by, I'm out of the Epic fold now, but I'm still doing Unreal Engine games called Deus Ex by Ion Storm.
You left out Jazz Jackrabbit.
And, yes, Jazz Jackrabbit 2. And the original Jazz Jackrabbit bonus, with most of it by Robert Allen. The original Jazz Jackrabbit was by Robert Allen. So, essentially, that led to doing audio director work at Midway Home Entertainment on Gauntlet 7 Sorrows, which was a great privilege. Not the best of the Gauntlet games, but not too bad to work on. And then at Obsidian Entertainment, working on Dungeons & Dragons games, such as Neverwinter Nights 2 expansion packs like Storm of Zahir and Mask of the Betrayer, if you guys are familiar with those games at all, or Neverwinter Nights series, period, done by the redoubtable BioWare and Obsidian Entertainment that would follow suit from BioWare games. Like if you have Knights of the Old Republic, the role-playing game, you would follow with Knights of the Old Republic 2 by Obsidian Entertainment. And they added some pretty amazing stuff to that series. So that was great to work for them. Then back to Austin, working for a venture capital company called Heatwave Interactive on a game called, can I have my phone? Thank you.
My phone.
Mine. Called I, Sam Jackson, and it's an app that you can get. Hold on a second. Games, here we go. And I, Sam Jackson, let's find a nice safe one that he says. Here we go. Let's turn it up.
You're all right. A bit twisted, but all right.
So it's a soundboard for that was recorded with Sam Jackson, and that was a fun experience. Now I'm with Funky Rustic, doing independent audio production work, and currently the projects are Torment, Tides of Numenera. If you guys have heard of that project, yes, Torment, Tides of Numenera is a sort of a spiritual sequel to Planescape Torment, and we're doing audio for that in conjunction with the composer Mark Morgan. So I love MAGFest. I love everything that it embodies, everything that it envisions, everything that everyone wants to enjoy about it. And having said that, and a fantastic character that I happen to. Oh, he's done it again. He's put me up on the screen.
man, doing my whatever that yoga thing is that I do. Anyway, so this guy sitting up here is somebody that I met. I'll let him introduce himself personally in a second, but like I met him 4 years ago. But I was talking to him with Danny Baranowski. Anybody heard of that guy? He's done music for Super Meat Boy and Cannibal, right? He's done Cannibal, this Cannibal thing. I think he did Cannibal. And he did Binding of Isaac. And then you've got Big Giant Circles, a.k.a. Jimmy Henson, if anybody's heard of that composer. He's fantastic as well.
Except he's at PAX South instead of here.
Except he's at PAX South, and Danny B isn't even here. Where did they go? But we had a fantastic midnight late conversation about all kinds of insane things. But this guy Flick was taking pictures as he's done for many years for MAGFest. And having said that, I will let you introduce thyself.
Hi, I take pictures. This is Alex. Oh, wait, you wanted something further.
Yeah, give him something.
So, yes, I am Chris Serrani, otherwise known as Flick in some of the community stuff. For a very long time, I started way back with MAGFest 3, way back in the day when there was like 500 people. And I think there's more than 500 people out there, so it's grown a lot since then. I had a long hiatus and came back around MAGFest 8 and just kind of kept progressively doing photography for MAGFest. Did a lot of like staff photography stuff. I've been kind of on the downward decline, kind of just going back into hanging out a little bit. So I'm definitely hanging out because I'm apparently just a regular attendee. Who knew? So like on the audio side of things, kind of like why I'm doing stuff with Alex right now is that for many, many years I've been doing just a lot of like for fun audio project things, tinkering with music. I was doing a lot of like 1 hour like music competition things. It was like a weekly thing, and it was a fun exercise and just get together and make things. You've got a very limited amount of time, just do stuff, and it was a really kind of surprising exercise. And I did that for quite a while, and then kind of dropped out of it. My interest kind of went into other things, but I'm trying to get back into it now. So as I'm progressively doing that, I'm trying to find different exercises to get back into like the voice acting side of things that I really want to do. The music side of tinkering I want to work with. I'm trying to find like that exact spot where I want to be. The voice acting thing is definitely a side of it. So Alex and I have just been talking about a lot of fun, random things here and there. Coming up with a few little projects. We might even show a video from a previous game concept we had together. Ooh. And probably kind of talk about some of the different audio things that I'm trying to do to get myself back into creating, which might be a couple of useful lessons for other people too. Because it's going to kind of hopefully cover a few, how do you just get yourself to create things in general. And from my standpoint, I have kind of a fear of sharing things. And if you don't share things, you're not really going to get far. So, and Alex will probably have a few things to cover on that too. So that's kind of me in a very small nutshell. And I also drive like 1,500 miles to get here because I'm really stupid instead of flying. So, hello. And I feel really jealous miles. For all you people that don't travel.
We have... not the biggest audience in the world. So, I'm going to start opening this up. What's your name?
My name's Clint.
Clint. Okay.
Hi, Clint.
And you're front and center. Like, what brings you to MAGFest?
My friends.
Your
They told me about it.
friends told you about it. Okay, cool. So, you're like a game fan, a game music fan?
Both.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Next person.
I'm Jill.
Jill.
Hi, Jill.
And what is this regalia costume that you have worked so hard in order to create, or slash, what is it? What do you call it? Commission, yes.
Oh, I made it. It's La Volpe from Assassin's Creed.
Holy
Jill is awesome, by the way.
That's seriously awesome. It really is awesome, from Assassin's Creed. That's freaking amazing. Now, so what have you come to MAGFest for a while?
I've been coming since 5.
My God, my first one was 9, and I've only come twice. Well, that makes me very much a newbie. Well, you were there when we were.
Yeah, she was.
So Jill is there when I was talking to this guy for the first time, and she remembers that. So everybody, please give that up a little bit because there's a memory there. That's part of what makes
Jill,
MAGFest the personal community that it is.
So Jill, you've been to more MAGFests than me? Oh crap!
Let's just assume that she's just got you beat. All right,
I've lost.
We're gonna bring Jill up next year. Yeah, here. Come over this way because I think I recognize you, but
Eich.
Eich.
Yeah.
Okay, where are you from?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. And what brings you to MAGFest?
That guy and a mutual friend.
No way.
Oh my God.
So the audience. It's
Everything is my
it's all
fault.
Chris's fault. Okay, cool. So a guy from South Carolina. You drove from South Carolina?
Yep.
All right. And how old are you?
20.
God. No, I'm laughing because that's another aspect of MAGFest that's amazing. You've got old fogies literally paralleled with like folks that are younger and folks that aren't really sure how to express themselves. They're like, how do I get into the... We're just like, Jesus Christ, we're the same people. We really are. The age isn't really a difference. It seriously isn't. I was exactly in the same spot as folks like yourself, as folks like Flick. And I've been in a spot where it's just like, how do I do game music? Well, I'm just going to fiddle around on this ad-lib synthesizer thing, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and I'm just going to write music for a while, holding myself up in my bedroom, and then maybe it'll get heard by somebody, and then maybe it'll just make money or something like that. I'm just a dork like everybody. Seriously, MAGFest embraces that and says, you're a nerd. You're just like everybody else. And so, like, you know, that's something that is a commonality that that brings us all together, that makes us come to this holy place of game music and games in general. So, having said that, you know, like I said, like as far as like people that come to MAGFest, like what? Okay, like I'm just gonna do a two-part like raising hands thing. How many people come for the game music, the game soundtracks? Okay. How many people come for the game aspect, just playing games? Okay. All right. So we got it's like being music and gaming festival. We've got folks that like are interested in playing games, but like now I'm going to go again. How many folks played games like are more into modern games, like games over the past 10 years, like stuff that you can download on Steam, stuff that you can get on a console? How many folks are like pretty much run the gamut? It doesn't matter what age of the game it is. Like you'll go into good old games and whatnot. Okay, so like we've got almost an even distribution there. So
I'm frightened.
Having said that, I'm going to go back into Morgan Freeman.
Would you like
Now-
me to bring up the list?
Let's bring up the list and let's see what else we like. I remember that an aspect of that was audience participation.
Once upon a time, Alex and I had an email chain that said what we're going to talk about.
Exactly what we're going to talk about. And like I said, since it's random nonsense, I actually want this gentleman here in the green shirt to stand up, please, if you would, sir. All right. Yell out your name. Michael. And what is the depiction on your shirt, sir? Oh, yeah. He's got a Kool-Aid man on his shirt. He's got... Oh, my God. It's a YouTube video on a shirt. It's hilarious and something that goes and gets distributed on Facebook. Okay, you're going to stand there until we figure out what our next topic is.
So let's see here. Oh, wait. How does this work? I should have used WordPad. Notepad is so weird. So let's see. Start with playing a few tunes that no one's heard yet. Well, you don't have anything downloaded to my laptop because you left yours at home.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
We announced random nonsense in some sort of a way. And let's see. These are your notes. Intro me, intro you.
you.
We did that. Got that
We
covered.
got the, yeah.
Get an idea from the audience how many folks are awesome. You're all awesome. So we got that
Everybody's
covered.
awesome. Especially the guy standing up right now, especially Michael.
Oh,
That is your name, right? Okay.
Alex, apparently in your notes you say story from the old days.
Story from the old days. Okay.
What was your life like back when you were working for Epic and doing things like Unreal?
Okay, all right, yeah. So like I gave folks an idea about like, yeah, you could sit down. We figured out what it
Well,
is.
first
Like,
of all, who in the audience has played old school games like Unreal?
anybody played Unreal? Yes! Awesome. Okay, all right. Anybody think the music is at least halfway decent? Not total crap. All right, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Back in the days of old school Epic, they were in Rockville, Maryland. They were run by a guy named Tim Sweeney. He was the owner of the company. He was the president of the company. The guy, Cliff Blazinski, who designed a good portion of Unreal that everybody's seen in Entertainment Weekly, pulling his pants up in a pond with a Pac-Man t-shirt on because he's a publicity whore. He really is. But on the other side, he's a really, really nice guy. Tim Sweeney was running this company in writing up newsletters and saying, hey, come work for us because we're a shareware company and you got to distribute your games through us and we're awesome and we can provide a distribution service for you and a publishing service for you. But Scott Miller of Apogee, here's the funny part. Scott Miller of Apogee would say the exact same thing in the exact same way. You would have both of these guys that would send folders, these white, shiny folders with the Epic logo and the Apogee logo in the exact same format with like little built-in newsletters and little folders and pamphlets and info about like each of their companies and exactly what it was going to take in order to distribute your game through Epic and Apogee. You were going to do all of those things in these nice, shiny white folders. And I was like, wait, is this a scam? Because the folders are the same. I don't get it. You know, exactly why is that? But as it turns out, it happened completely independently. They both figured it out separately of each other. The reason that we went with Epic was because Scott Miller sent me an email, which I printed out, and it was in Courier font. And it's sitting there saying, like, Scott Miller saying, we've got people that are doing like Math Rescue and other Amazing Cave Adventure, and they're making millions of dollars. They're making millions of dollars. And so I got on the phone with Mark Rain, who is the head of marketing for Epic Games, and he is to this day. He used to work for Exxon. That gives you something of an idea of exactly where his heart was when he decided to get into games. Well, I have no doubt that he loves games. He did say Jazz Jackrabbit should be a squirrel. But that same guy got on the phone with me, and he said, this guy said you were going to make millions of dollars. What did he say your percentage was going to be? And I go like, okay, well, he said we were going to get a 35% of whatever it is that we sell and that we were going to sell this many copies. And he said, okay, 200,000 copies. And I hear him typing on a little calculator. At 35%, that's $15 million. Oh, my God, that's bullshit. That's such bullshit. Don't go with Apogee. They suck. And, well, of course, with a speech like that, how could I not be won over? I don't know. Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
My young, ridiculously stupid mind decided to go with that. But as it happens, Tim Sweeney was the guy that was really the person that won me over because he was just as much of a nerd as I was, and I mean, really, he talked like this, and he would just, all he was a programmer that wanted to make a company and like distribute games, and so he's just like, hey, we're making this cool stuff like Unreal, and like we really like the stuff that you're doing, so we'll give you 30% of whatever, and then we'll do, blah 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 blah. So that was the days back in shareware. Like if you made something, and it wasn't me that made all this stuff. This was Jason Emery, a good buddy of mine, who made a sprite engine, and then that sprite engine turned into a parallax scrolling engine, which eventually, with some artwork by a guy that did Amiga artwork that then translated over to Deluxe Paint 2 Enhanced, would turn into Tyrion, which was our first shooter game. Anybody here heard of Tyrion? 1, 2, thank God. So, yeah, it's available on the iTunes. It's available, I believe, for Android. I believe it's also available on the Apple App Store. Just there's a demo version for free. If you like shooters, it's actually halfway fun. Even now, it's still actually fun. And we put it out in 1995. So, at that point, that's how we got settled in with Epic. And we're going to move on to the next point.
Oh, yeah, I should probably.
Bring it back up, baby!
So let's see here. Days of the Old Epic. Ideas from your side. That'd be me, apparently. And then music industry stuff.
Yeah.
Industry
I'm sorry. I'm going to preface this with just saying that, like, it's like I've got all this, the industry knowledge, industry experience, blah, 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 blah. And I can talk about the Epic percentages and all this kind of bullshit and everything. I want to be able to present a perspective of somebody that's just like, you know what? I'm a fan of this shit, and I really have, like, how do I creatively embrace what I want to do, which is what Chris has been telling me for quite some time. And so that's the perspective that I was just like, I'm not going to just ask questions of people in the audience. I'm going to bring somebody up who has devoted themselves to MAGFest for a certain period of time and done a shitload of work and have them present their own case. So off you go.
So with the audio side of things that I've kind of been tinkering with, like I said in the intro, like the past many years, like I've done just audio stuff for fun, which is what most of us do initially. And we're like, man, that'd be fun to do for a living if you could make money doing it. What are you saying? I'll get to it. I have a blog. I know. Jeez. So I used to do a lot of these 1 hour like music composition things, and I would do some fun voice stuff for the heck of it in them. And yeah, it was a good exercise and things. So I met Alex back in MAGFest 9, and kind of a little bit of a fanboy, like, oh my god, they're like a voice actor. And we kind of hit it off, started chatting about a lot of stuff, and it was fun. So number of years later here, it's like I'm still trying to tinker with things here and there. And one of the problems I continually have for myself that maybe a lot of other creative people have is you get caught up in, yes, I like creating things, but I get kind of freaked out with sharing them or going further with them. I want to do professional things. I want to do some voice acting or whatever, but this is kind of scary.
Show of hands, people that have that same emotion. A lot.
And that translates to any creative stuff. Artists, writers, writing stories, musicians, voice actors, whatever. So yeah, from my perspective, it's maybe you're really good at making stuff, but it's kind of freaky to share stuff and go further with it. So yes, going to my blog. So one of the things that in the past, maybe like half a year or so here, I read like a lot of online webcomics because they're awesome. If you don't read them, you should, because they're awesome. And one thing I imagine in my head when I'm reading a lot of these comics is, man, I imagine a lot of audio. Like I can read a lot of these pages and I imagine all the character voices, the sound effects, the music, just a full production. And I thought, you know what, why don't I use this as a method to teach myself some more things and make a few things to actually start showing, just because. Because if I'm not showing anything and I'm not doing anything, I'm not learning, I'm not getting any further. And that's how the industry is. So if you're not trying, well, you're not doing. So what I started doing is I started taking a couple of online webcomics. I've got like a whiteboard filled with them, and I've got a couple red stars next to ones I've done, which is like 2, technically 3. And I just started, making stuff off of these. And a challenge I made for myself was that I'm going to do everything from scratch. I know there's pre-existing sound effects out there. I know there's pre-existing music. But since I'm teaching myself everything to give myself the experience, I'm going to make everything. So I actually, I went and bought a, it was kind of overkill. The Zoom. Did I hear something? Oh. I bought a kind of overkill Zoom H6 recorder for doing field sound effects. And I don't know, it's worked good so far. And it's been really interesting trying to come up with sound effects for things. Like, I've got a video on, it's probably on YouTube. I don't have internet access here, so I can't play it. But I was trying to make snow, like the sound of walking on snow. And I'm like, how can I do that? There's no snow outside. I live in Fargo, North Dakota, and there's no snow outside.
What are the odds?
I know. There's probably snow now. Oh, God, I have to go home to snow, don't I? Damn it. So I poured breakfast cereal all over my floor in my apartment, and I recorded myself stepping on it. And lo and behold, I turned that into the sound of stepping on snow. Kind of like how I used, I needed to make a sound effect of a bird flying. I might play this clip of the whole thing from that webcomic. Jill knows what I'm talking about. No, so does H. And I needed to make a sound effect of this bird flying. I'm like, how do I do this? I know. I'm going to set my recorder down, and I'm going to wave this really thick piece of wire in front of it really fast. And it worked, but I also hit the recorder, and it hit the floor and broke. So, yay, expensive mistake. And then I bought another. So, anyway, I'm progressively doing all these little lessons for myself to try and better myself. And then what I ended up doing is I made a Tumblr. Who is here has heard of Tumblr? Yay! So, I don't have an official website. I should do that someday. We all should. So Tumblr was an easy way to just make a simple site to share something. And so what I decided is I'm going to make a site to share audio things. I'm going to make things, and I'm just going to throw them up there, and if people like them, cool. If people don't, cool, because I'm more than open to constructive criticism. And, if people just say, that sucks, well, I'm not going to really pay attention to that. And that's actually another thing I'm probably going to talk about in a little while here is just, getting over like the fear of criticism in general. Because, yeah, it definitely happens, and I've gotten some bad criticism in the past, and initially back then it did affect me in a way where it's like, oh, man, I put all that time and effort into it, and people say I suck.
You suck!
Arr, who gives a fuck?
We're going to be listening to that later, too.
Damn it.
Yeah, you're not getting out of that one.
So anyway, let me scroll down. I had notes too. So
Why don't we show Hidden Heroes really quick?
Okay, after MAGFest 9, when Alex and I met, I got back home to my nice little cramped apartment in Fargo, where it's very flat and there's no trees or civilization. Okay, there's civilization, but we started talking back and forth, and I kind of had a little idea, and we started bouncing it back and forth like, hey, I've got this really neat game idea. And it was different than other stuff where I was thinking of like a whole text-based game from way back in the day. Kind of feels weird to say that, back in the day, because apparently I'm old. And so early video games were a lot of text-based stuff, and I thought, man, it'd be cool to make like a text-based game that had like a full soundtrack to it, full like production audio, sound effects, and voice, but it's text. But, all this stuff's going on in the background. So at the time, I was working for a TV station producing TV commercials, and I may have possibly spent an entire week of work making something for fun. And where is that?
Look at those scan lines, man.
But this is okay,
like you're at the arcade authentically.
When I created this video, I actually intentionally added scan lines in, like the old monochrome green screen stuff, because I may as well make it authentic. So this will like double it up.
Double scan line.
Double your pleasure.
We got double
double
scan
your
line,
fun.
ladies
Double
and gentlemen.
mint gum. I remember too many commercials. Hopefully the audio works. Oh, before I forget, Alex did the music bits for it. One of the voices, I did a voice of like the opening character dude on the computer and the dragon. And I cheat because I use audio effects stuff. Ooh, full screen. Let's see what we've got here. Adventure. Well, let's see how much of an adventure this file is. I haven't seen this in a while. What are you? That's interesting. Well, let's just run you and see what you do. What the heck? Okay. Oh boy. I totally made that name up. Well, let's just go down to quit here. Or maybe not. New game it is. So much animation.
Hello, traveler. My name is Tarius. What might we call you by?
So.
It's nice to meet you, Sao. Now that we're acquainted, I must tell you of the great peril that grips our world.
A pity baddie, huh? Draw a sword. Tap the stupid thing. Alright.
Realize this, boy. You will never flee the others. Now, little snack, what is on your tiny mind?
I'm hungry. Make me a sandwich.
I will make a sandwich out of you.
Short demo, but man. So that is essentially an example of something that we did, no budget, no schedule.
And
It
actually,
was-
what was funny about that is typically when you're making video like that, you're making the video to the soundtrack. I made the entire video first and
Yeah.
then I sent it to you, and kind of went from there. So that kind of worked.
No. It's actually no. It's usually the reverse, right? You know, like you've got video going on, and then the music needs to match what's going on the screen. Now, the thing about this is it's representative of how many people here have heard of The Prisoner, but with Patrick McGoohan? Oh man, there's some awesome folks in this crowd. I wouldn't say it's an obscure show, but it is something of a cult show. It was on in the 60s, right? 70s, 60s, 70s, something like that. And there was this show that had been put on. This is a guy that was being considered for the role of James Bond. And he was this tough guy that was in a show called Secret Agent. And Secret Agent ran for a while, and the reason he didn't get it was because that wasn't really his thing. It was Roger Moore's thing, so Roger Moore took up the mantle of James Bond from Sean Connery. And the way that it worked was Patrick McGoohan went in the completely other direction. He decided he wanted to make a show that was very allegorical. It was very symbolic. It was something about the overall purpose of the show was a guy that was captured by who knows who, and he's put on an island, and his whole goal is escaping. And he's just like, I don't know where I am. I'm supposed to be, this guy called Number 6. Like, he's called Number 6, and he's supposed to accept the fact that he's Number 6 and that he will live happily as Number 6 forever after. And in an interview about this show, because the show, I mean, it wasn't like, I think it was like overall successful, but like, he was astonished with the reaction to it just because, a lot of people had never seen anything like that before. By the time you get to the end, it's not like you kill the bad guy. It has nothing to do with anything like that. And I highly recommend you watch it yourselves just because it's really weird. I'm not saying it's just like, there's some serious thought that actually went into this show. It's not just trippy stuff from the 60s. So in his interview, and this all ties into what is going on here, is because a guy was asking Patrick McGoohan, because he created the concept, he came up with everything, he got the funding for it, he was the star of it, he wrote a bunch of the series, and they were asking him just like, how can you make something appealing on multiple levels, and how can you make something really attract a whole bunch of people and make it successful? And his answer to that was, I feel that if you have something that creatively inspires you, you should make it, and the people that want to do that should just create what they want to create and then put it out there, and it's a statement that they want to make. And if others want to participate in that, or if they want to watch it, that's their privilege. And he said, I think if you try to focus on making something mass market, or try to focus on making something appeal to so many different areas, it's going to fail. It's not going to be something whatever vision that you have is going to be diluted from it. Now, having said that, like, we created this, and yes, we didn't run it through the ringer of Kickstarter. We didn't send it out on Twitter. We didn't go through a whole bunch of different channels, and God knows it might have gotten a ton of funding, and we might have been able to fund it, do all this kind of stuff with it. But that actually didn't really matter that much. What mattered was, like, we produced something together that was like an idea that we really wanted to make. And oddly enough, there was a programmer, Andy Smithers. Did I tell you about him?
I think you did.
Yeah, so Andy Smithers is a guy that I used to work with at Midway Home Entertainment. He's this old British, not old, he's just middle-aged British guy, and he used to program these awesome little waves and everything, and he could make renderings of things, and people would ask him to program the PlayStation 2, and he used to say MALAC, which stands for memory allocation, and blah, 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 blah. But he would go off about it. He knew everything. He was one of these old-school British guys, but every time I walked into his office, he'd be watching this show called Full Bottom, and he'd be saying, the guy hit his head on the stove, and he fell down. So he's a weird old guy, but at the same time, he saw this, and he said, like, I'd love to actually help you guys make this. Now, he works for, like, Disney Interactive, and then he worked for some other company, and, he's been all over the place, and he's got, like, 2 kids now, and all these things get caught up in the great, giant river of life, which, sort of got swept by the wayside. But it obviously got somebody's attention, and it made it, so that in and of itself, if we had really decided to follow up on it, we could have. But like I said, this is a prime example of make the stuff that you want. Like, find the thing that you're passionate about and go for it. So, and don't feel intimidated. So that was
Well, not only that,
a success story.
share
there.
it. Like, obviously, sharing it with
Exactly.
him, he saw it. And, maybe there's still a chance for the future for this.
God
I
knows it
know
might
there's
still get made.
I'm sure there's been other kind of indie game things that have been made maybe kind of like this. I don't know, because I don't keep up with things because I'm really
All
bad
the
at
time.
playing games. And I mean, there's even with I had like other ideas for how this game could have gone, and I've seen some other, I think, indie games that were made that kind of followed along those concepts. But it's like, there's still room for other stuff. And that's actually like another thing I was going to talk about later on with originality and somebody else already made that idea and maybe why should I do that? It's the same thing, but it's like, well, go ahead and
Fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
Go ahead and make something similar because you're still going to learn from it. Because originality doesn't really dictate creativity. It's like a lot of people have the same idea. You may not know it, but great minds think alike, right?
I need to get a little more audience participation here, and I'm sorry if I was interrupting.
That's okay.
That was good. Is there something that anybody here in the audience, like there was an original version? I need to get your guys' help here. Was there an original version of something that sucked and a new version of something that was badass? That was like, okay, the second version, third version, doesn't matter what it was. The version that was after the original. What? Battlestar Galactica. Come on. How many people have watched that show? Dear Lord. Well, the original was good, but was it as good as the next version, right? Mad Max 2. Exactly.
Mad Max
First
Beyond
one compared to
Thunderdome.
the second one. So yes, but in particular, Battlestar, I think, is a really good example. I'm not saying I really can't stand the original Battlestar because, I wanted all the toys, and as a kid, I grew up with it, and it was great. But as a dramatic presentation and something that you're just like, okay, I really want to see what happens next, and I really want to see how they progress, and I really want to see the character interaction and all that sort of stuff. There's a bit more appeal in the revision by Ronald Moore. What? Usually the opposite happens. Exactly. Usually you have an original, you have, Superman, right? The 80s version of Superman is unfortunately still a little... And Star Wars, yes, a prime example of that. So yeah, I mean, that's just the sort of a case where, you have... you have different variations and visions of like you're saying, somebody else can think of something that you think about, and you can say oh my gosh, somebody's already done... we were just talking to somebody about an idea that they had that seemed super original, and it was amazing, and that at the exact same time Player Score, the documentary. Anybody familiar with that? That's a Kickstarter that happened about game music. And they want to interview a whole bunch of folks, and they want to talk to all the composers from here to wherever, and they want to come up with exactly what the stories are. And it's a fantastic, fantastic idea. And yet, not too long ago, Red Bull and some guys out wherever decided to go to Japan and interview these Japanese composers like Hirokazu Tanaka from Metroid and I don't know, Club Kuke. I don't know I can't remember who else the other folks were, but they went and did it, and it was practically at the same time. And there's another one that's kickstarted called Beep, done by Karen up in Canada, and Karen Collins. And it's just there's all these ideas happening at the same time. Well, things like this feed off each other. I mean, look, Deep Impact and what's that asteroid thing with Bruce Armageddon? Yes, exactly. Those happened right around the same time as well. So, but they were like, you know what? We're going to do it anyway. We're going to happen. Oh, and Octopussy and Never Say Never Again, right? So, yes. Prime examples of don't let other ideas that happen to be going out at the same time discourage you, because it happens all the time.
Yeah. So, what should we go on to next?
What do we go on to next?
Let's
I
see.
was
Where's my
halfway thinking
notes?
about making everybody do a marathon around the room. Just like a race, all around the stair. No.
I'm going to review my absolutely terrible notes from before we did this. Let's see. Get over the fear of sharing. So here's my notes for the panel. God, I love Notepad. It's so fun. Let's see.
While you're doing that, there's one quick story I have. Okay. How many people here have heard of Seventh Guest, 11th Hour? All right. Okay.
Come back!
And how about Wing Commander and Wing Commander 2? Okay, great. I've got a lot of familiarity in the audience. Okay, the guy that wrote or the guy that was head of the team for that, his name's George Sanger, a.k.a. The Fat Man. He used to have lived in Austin, Texas. He lives in San Diego now. Little quick anecdotal story from the first game developers conference that I went to for this guy. I went to hear him talk about General MIDI and how his team Fat was looking to take the General MIDI sounds and make sure that on every sound card, if you wrote a MIDI song, it was going to sound exactly the same. You were going to have to put these parameters in for this note and these parameters in for this instrument, and all of the companies from Yamaha to Roland to all of the creative labs were going to have to listen to this team because they needed to have creative freedom over their music. And by God, George was going to really lead the way on that. So this guy in this cowboy hat and this outfit, actually he had kind of a simple outfit on. He had a T-shirt and jeans for this presentation at GDC, and this must have been around 1995. And in the beginning of the thing, I'm not doing this myself, but at the beginning of the presentation, he said, "I just want you all to know that if you guys start getting bored and leaving or falling asleep, I'm gonna take down my pants." And we were like, haha, yeah, whatever. That's a good little anecdote there, George, whatever, you keep going doing your thing. And he says, and halfway through the presentation, he goes, and you see here, as we have I see a Brendan Becker. Can everybody please give it up for Brendan Becker? This is the guy that originally invited me to MAGFest. My God. Inverse Phase, ladies and gentlemen, does some amazing music. If you're working on a game, please hire him. So, yeah,
amazing
awesome.
chiptune music right there.
That's a whole other story, unfortunately. I wish they did.
Have you already answered that for the crowd?
Yeah, we're going to talk about people giving people music or money for making music for video games.
I like money.
Yes. But yeah, so George is he looks like he's fixing things or stepping up onto the thing. So George is pointing at all this General MIDI stuff, and he's just like, okay, so we have oscillator here, and we have this there. We have. All right. Okay. And he pulls down his pants, and lo and behold, there's a guy that pulls down his pants, and he's got these literally the classic white boxers with the little hearts on them are on display as his pants are all the way off, and he walks around talking about General MIDI for the rest of the show. So that was essentially my indoctrination to the nature of game audio and game audio folk, because they were desperate to get the kind of quality that they needed at the time. They really wanted people to be able to have the kind of creativity for being able to create the music that they needed, and by God, they just needed to be listened to by all the hardware manufacturers at the time. And let me tell you, getting hardware manufacturers to listen to you is a hell of a lot harder than getting individual developers and publishers to listen to you, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But notes.
So in my notes, we already went over some of the getting over the fear of sharing stuff. Where's my cursor? Oh, computer. So yeah, like doing the creative projects, things for yourself, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, getting over the fear of sharing. So like some topics I had on that. Oh, there's the cursor. That's how this thing works. So like if you're creating stuff just for yourself, just for fun, to kind of learn some things, you really don't have much to fear. You're not really sharing. So just make stuff. But if you're creating stuff to share, which is what we all want to do, because if you share, you go further, et cetera, then you have to get used to reaction. People reacting positively.
You suck! Oh my God, I worship
That's
you.
not positively. That's negatively.
It was both.
Which is the negatively part. Now you can do that. Negatively.
The negative. Fuck you, man! You suck!
But I work so hard.
It sucks! Actually, I like the original better.
Oh, God, you did that earlier.
I ripped that. Yes, that's true. From
Bert,
of all people.
You're going to have the reaction of, wow, that's really cool, dude. Awesome. Or you're going to have the reaction of, oh, I guess it was okay.
How many people have put up YouTube videos and gotten that kind of a response?
I don't read YouTube comments anymore.
Oh, my gosh. That's right. Yes, you're all better. My 11-year-old, I'm sorry, but he's hooked on YouTube responses, and he absolutely has to have positive feedback, and I'm training him in the trial by fire nature of that.
I really stopped reading comments, like when I'd go to like CNN's website and I'd read a story and I'd scroll down a moment and I'd see the first comment and go, oh my God.
You suck, you commie bastard!
Alt
What?
F4.
Can I butt in and tell you
Butt in.
my absolute favorite Firefox plugin is the YouTube comments herpderp plugin, and all it does is every YouTube comment on every YouTube page is just replaced with herp derp herp derp herp derp. And like there, as long as the comment is. So like if this person types like a lot, you just get a fuck ton of herp derps. And if you don't, then it's just like a couple herps. And like it's the best thing in the world. I don't even know if it still works because it's so old and because I never upgrade Firefox. But like if you want to have some fun, and I mean real fun, reading the word herp and derp over and over again, then that is the way to do it.
I wonder if it would work for every website
You could
ever.
maybe troll your kid.
I'm going to do that. I'm totally going to do that.
I think that might be, yeah.
Dad, what does herp derp mean?
We'll talk about when you're older, son.
When a man loves a woman, and the woman, well...
When the woman herps a derp, then the derp herp a derp.
The derp needs to herp the... Yeah. Anyway. Random nonsense.
Should we go
So
back
anyway,
to real
yes,
talk?
where we were going with that, yes, get used to reaction, positive, negative, but the reactions that you can ignore are the just absolute negativity, like, that sucks. Okay. If you're not going to say why, I don't care. And yeah, I mean, initially I kind of got affected by stuff like just, whatever, that's stupid. Oh, okay, well, I guess I've grown up a little bit since then, and I can just ignore things like that now. But when you're first starting off with things, yeah, it kind of hits you on a personal level. It's like, well, shoot, I was hoping people would have liked that. But, yeah, get over it, I guess. And, like when Vert was up here earlier, he said the same thing, grow a thick skin. So, yeah, definitely do that.
We're making some assumptions here. How many people here write music, whether it's by hobby or did they just play it, or we've got one all the way up. Get that hand
Am I
up
supposed
there.
to do this?
Oh, for God's sake, yes, of course. Both of you. Okay. And how many people have thought about, like, writing music, doing sound effects, doing sound design? Okay, so that's well over half the audience, probably closer to 75%. You there, right where I'm pointing. What is your creative passion? What'd you say? Gift baskets? Exactly. See, that's badass. I mean, like, no,
There's
seriously.
nothing wrong with the gift basket.
No. A good gift basket easily trumps a shitty song any day of the week. So, honestly,
It's a tangible object.
Exactly. Oh my God. So yes, hands down for the gift basket.
It's also harder to pirate a gift basket.
That's
other than,
actually very true.
Other than just ripping it off, but I mean,
damn straight.
At least you have to rip it off from the person that also ripped it off. If you want to rip it off too,
Hells yes. So like, this applies to like whatever it is that you're doing. Like, anybody have any dreams or aspirations of, I'd really like maybe if my tune / sound effect / whatever audio that I'm creating could maybe make its way one day into something that eventually gets out into the world in some way, shape, or fashion other than SoundCloud. Okay, all right. So how many people have ever even thought that like their stuff might be worth putting out in a place other than SoundCloud? All right, okay. So yeah, there's a bit of a difference there. Put your hand up. I want to see your hand all the way in the air, please. Yes!
Okay, I got it.
All right. Seriously, I'm going to give it up for you.
So
right now.
happy.
I want everybody to clap. It took guts to put that hand all the way in the air, so we're gonna applaud you for that. All right, so, going back to what Chris said about like being worried about like your creative endeavors and exactly where they're supposed to go and how they're supposed to be analyzed, and oh my gosh, the YouTubers are doing this other than Herp Derp, and the other folks in IRC are doing this, or the folks that I hear like my mom is saying, well, dear, that's not really your calling in life, or who knows what kind of feedback you're getting. What matters is what's in here. Seriously, that's the biggest possible thing, and that's what I tell my kid. That's what, fortunately, my wife supports that, which is freaking amazing. And that's the bottom line. That's like, you hear that in all kinds of TED Talks with people like talking about, well, your passion is really what's going to drive forward your, all the kinds of endeavors, whether it's work-related or creative-related. Those are the things that are really going to generate the amazing content that's going to move this world forward. So, yes, oddly enough, that's actually true. You'll hear it again and again where people are going to be stating this, what it is that really, like, you stay up until 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning doing, and then you stop and you feel good after you've done it, can turn into a career. Maybe it's a short career. Maybe it's not necessarily fraught with all that much happiness. Maybe it has like a lot of hardship in terms of things like paying bills. All of us have actually been there. Yes, this guy, me, everybody. Having said that, it's what really drives you. It's what makes you want to live in the first place. So whether people that are near you are supporting that, or whether people understand that, that's just something that you need to be able to find. Now, having said that, the real thing is that that creativity is going to go from, oh man, I really feel like creating, blah, 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 and then 20 minutes later, I'm just gonna go watch some Law and Order right now. I'm just going to go watch some Venture Brothers right now. I just don't feel like it. That's going to happen. The creative muse is going to come and go, and you're not really going to know when that kind of passion is going to strike you and when it's going to hit, when it's going to actually generate something useful. And the real trick is turning that into something that is a creative machine that can regularly produce what you want to produce. And, well, I'm going to go back to the Morgan Freeman voice.
Hello, Morgan.
We're gonna turn it over. Oh, it looks like we've got some technicians here. We got a guy with one of these awesome-looking doohickeys is unscrewing something. He's gonna tell me to shut the hell up in just a second because there's an exposed wire that he's working on right now.
I think Chris ordered a blowjob, so.
Exposed wire, ladies and gentlemen.
Exposed.
Code for blowjob.
I like exposed wire.
So
anyway.
I'm actually, Chris can actually see his screen, so I'm gonna let him talk about the next phase notes.
So yeah, I mean,
You know it's right behind you, right?
What?
Like,
it's
Shit.
interesting looking.
just
It's got
checking.
cool lines in it.
It's the scan lines that threw me. I couldn't possibly see through them.
So I don't know.
We
I'm
wanted to make it retro, like, so that you would feel it.
I'm gonna finish going over my notes real quick, just so I don't have to stare at them anymore.
You go.
So, and we only have like a half hour left. How did we already only have a half hour left?
Yeah, we've been rambling.
So,
All right, ramblers.
So yeah, getting kind of through the rest of these notes. So yeah, like getting over the fear of critique, which kind of went over with like the getting over the fear of sharing thing. Use the criticism, good and bad, to improve your work. Basically ignoring the negative comments because they're not criticism. Just negativity like your work sucks. That's unless someone is saying why, it's not really helping. So just ignore it. And kind of the whole where do you want to go with what you're creating? Whether you're an artist, a music composer, are you doing voice stuff, it doesn't matter. It's like, are you doing it for fun? Are you doing it just for you? Do you actually want to do something in the industry? So if you're trying to get somewhere in the industry, well, start sharing it. Share it with the right people. Who are the right people? Alex, who are the right people?
The right people are what you're saying is going to tie into, and Brendan, I hope, will benefit from this as well. What hopefully some of you might be thinking now is like, wait a minute, you're talking in general terms, passion this, and drive yourself that, and blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm going to give you guys some things about like some specific examples as opposed to the general stuff. But before I do, I'm actually going to ask everyone to applaud for the hardworking technicians of MAGFest that work their ass off to make this stuff work for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank
Ian
you,
also
Ian.
came all the way from Minneapolis to help us out. Thank
Yes.
you, Ian.
This is the
Yay,
lifeblood of
Minnesota.
this show, so seriously, give it up. He's like, whatever.
You can go away now.
Is this an appropriate time to ask you about the Pelicans?
He's like, no, you can't ask me about that.
This is a running joke.
We can ship those.
For the price that they cost to buy.
Probably. And for all things like that, there's Chris.
Denied, he says. All right. So specifics about exactly who to talk to. Okay. So
Something I left out of like the games that I did. I'm also somewhat community active in that I am vice president of the Game Audio Network Guild. How many people here have heard of GANG? Yay, that's great. Okay, so Game Audio Network Guild was founded roughly about 12 years ago by Tommy Tallarico, who is quite the showman. He puts on this show called Video Games Live. Anybody here been to a Video Games Live show? Okay, yeah. They're awesome. They're fantastic representations of live concerts, representations of game music. But he started it, oddly enough, as a reason for people to get paid more money. He was like, I want to start a union. He actually wanted to start a union. And this guy Van Webster, who was probably in his 50s or 60s with glasses like this, he looked like Admiral Akbar because his mouth was down like this. And, it was really fascinating. But he was a really smart cat. And what he would say would be like, you guys don't want to form a union because there's all kinds of legal and sociological problems with unions. What you guys want to do is you want to start a guild. A guild is something that trains its membership up from apprentice to journeyman to master. This was done since the medieval days. And you essentially present a commonality of skill level. And what that commonality does is it presents the entire world that you're serious about what your endeavor or your discipline is. And you can present a level of skill that people can say, oh, if you're trained to this level based on this skill, that must mean you can accomplish any number of tasks that the industry needs you to fulfill. The plumbers unions or the plumbers guilds do this, electricians guilds do this, and now we formed a network guild, which is more than just a guild to train, because we don't really train. That's a goal. But what we want to do is we want people that are just getting in to be able to interact with people that have experience. So that's another example of this panel. It's just this, like, if there is actually a gig that I'm that I'm hiring for in terms of voice, which might be Torment, and maybe Chris might be in that.
Okay.
I'm not going to, no promises yet, but I don't have character sheets. But, that's an example. If we have things like that, and we have people that generate these relationships through a group like this, go to audiogang.org, look up what we do, see what the member benefits are. We have an award show. We have the ability for people to join forums. We have discounts on things like Wave software. And that's an example of, exactly who you can go to. Another example is... how many people here live in the Eastern Seaboard? Quite a few. Okay, so no matter where you live, most likely there's going to be some sort of agency if you're interested in voiceover. And those agencies are people that you call up and you bother and you harass and you present demo reels to, and you say, I'd really like to do X, Y, and Z as far as characters go. And eventually they'll probably talk to you and they'll bring you in for an interview, and then maybe if you're lucky they'll make you a part of their roster, and then they will start sending you auditions, and that's pretty amazing. That's exactly what I did in Austin. I went to Deborah Duckett of DB Talent and I said, I'd really like to try this, and she said, give me a reel. I don't know if you're going to be good enough for this, but we'll see. We really need young guys. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. Look, I can be a guy from KFC to talk about their chicken. Oh my gosh. I didn't actually deliver a demo that sounded like that, but it's just like, I will do whatever you want me to do. Put it on an MP3 and I'll present it to you, and then we'll go and we'll meet, and you'll tell me exactly what the industry's wanting and then what you're going to need to audition for. And that turned into, I will get an audition a couple of times a week and I will put it out there. Out of maybe 200 to 400 auditions a year, maybe 5 to 10 gigs will actually show up. So that's very specific, very detailed information on a process as to how you generate revenue, generate income, generate the means to support yourself as a creative artist. Through Audio Gang, you can meet people that can also potentially create those connections that will enable gigs to come your way. Forums that are online that have to do with the specific games, like Elite Dangerous. Anybody heard of that game? Yeah. The original Elite was one of the best games pretty much ever made, and the reason for that was because you're going through as in a starship, and you're shooting down these enemy ships, and then you're gathering resources, and then you're doing certain trades, and it's essentially a galaxy exploration game. And there's lots of different challenges, but you don't really know what your goals are, except at the very bottom there's this indicator that says novice, and then I can't remember the exact names. It's advanced and master, and then if you play for hours and hours and hours, eventually you will see it change to elite. And then you're like, yes!
it's pretty much having the equivalent of winning the game, because like after that point, like it doesn't change again, right? Like, and that's where, you know, people just killed themselves, you know, eating nothing but ramen for days or nothing. God knows what they were doing. And then they would play until they got that Elite thing. So Elite Dangerous is, oddly enough, a sequel to that. It got kickstarted. It was pretty amazing. And I banged on some doors for like saying like, hey, can I do some music for this? And they said, well, we've already got a music guy for that. But how many Kickstarters are there, like, you know, roughly in a year? Like last year, there must have been...
There were at least like 2,000 for potato salad alone. So,
well, exactly.
I mean, there's got to be like a billion.
Yeah, there's a ton of Kickstarter projects. There's a ton of independent projects, and going to the App Store, there's at least 1,500 people that are active making iPhone games or independent applications. Yes, they're low budget, but guess what? Half of them have used somebody in audio, and maybe they don't like them, or maybe that person has moved on to something else, and maybe that person's busy, and you can email them and say, guess what? I'm available. Oh my gosh, and they'll go, well, let's hear a demo from you. And you'll generate a demo. Yeah, I know, I'm hearing some, yeah. You'll deliver a demo, and you'll refine that demo, and then eventually, like, when you deliver it to probably the 2,000th person that you've probably sent it to, that gig will land in your lap. So there's the specifics. It's not pretty, but at the same time, the foundation of what I was talking about, the passion, the ability to grow that thick skin, the ability to take the criticism, all fuels exactly what will lead to that. And once that has actually happened, at that point, it becomes exponentially easier, even though it doesn't seem like it does, becomes exponentially easier to approach the next person, because by that point, your network has grown by that much, your experience has grown by that much, and your willpower has also grown by that much, because you've actually gotten over that hump for the first time.
And the interesting thing about that whole thing is that nothing is stopping you from doing it. So
Nothing.
It's like the only thing you're going to run into is maybe just rejection. Well, just keep doing it then.
Yes.
Because what's stopping you from doing that?
There's politics, and there's people that say, hey, we'll pay for your stuff, and then they don't pay for your stuff. Or maybe they pay for what you did, and then you were supposed to do something that they didn't expect you to do, and then they say, oh, no, we can't publish it after all, or we can't do that thing that we originally said that we were going to do. And oh, my God, there's all kinds of things that can, oddly enough, happen. A way out of all of that stuff, it depends. The traditional way is a contract. Traditional way is saying, like, guess what? I don't actually know you. I'm going to present something, and there are white papers. There are sample contracts on audiogang.org. If they're not, beat the crap out of me virtually online. I will respond to that and be able to make sure that they're there for you to look at. But approaching somebody that you're working with for the first time and being able to say, like, okay, here's something that that it represents exactly what I need. Essentially, the standard is sort of like buying out the content that you provide for that person, getting paid by a certain time, and if there's like a soundtrack on the end of it, and if the game fails, like all of that stuff is spelled out so that the expectation is understood. You try to figure out, like, okay, this is a company that's independent, right? Like, they're not sure if maybe they'll publish, maybe they won't. Okay, well, let's figure that out in the initial conversations. Let's say, suppose you guys don't publish and I do all this work. What am I going to do? Well, we pay you for the work that you do, regardless if it goes out or not. If it goes out, the great thing is that on the back end, you can get potentially royalties on what you do. And some people will say, we don't want to give you royalties. And you can either walk away or you can accept it. It's your choice. But at least you can establish that relationship up front. That's a really big recommendation, is just setting up that relationship on paper.
So one thing I should probably do before our panel gets up is share one of those little kind of project things that I was doing to get myself into more of my creative stuff to share.
Go for it.
If I don't, Jill will probably beat me up, and she's dressed like an assassin, so I don't think I want that. Don't kill me, please.
She's going to beat the shit out of you.
So yeah, one of those... well, I don't have internet here, so I can't show the actual webcomic pages, unfortunately. Where did I put those files? Oh, they're right on the desktop. I am smart. So with like one of my creative projects is, taking webcomic pages, essentially, and putting off like full-fledged audio to them. And, I've got the challenge of trying to do voice stuff by myself, making all my sound effects from scratch. So yeah, when I play like this particular one, sound effects don't sound the best, but I at least made an attempt, and I'll probably get better. And after I play it, I'll describe kind of how I made some of those sound effects. So unfortunately, yeah, since I don't have interwebs, I can't really play the page. But this particular comic, it's called Red Tail's Dream. It's super awesome. At least one person in the audience can attest to that. Yes, thank you. It's, what's her name? Mina Sundberg in Finland. She made this comic, actually did a printed run of it, and she's working on a new comic now called Stand Still, Stay Silent, which I was also starting to make some stuff for. But, you know, it was such a cool comic. I really loved the creativity behind it, so I wanted to just make some stuff for it. So I took, I think, a 3-page spread, and it was an interaction between one character and his magical transforming dog, pretty much, that was in the form of a moose. And I, yeah, trying to do a low moose voice. I tried doing some voice processing, and then I said screw it, so I just did a lower voice. But anyway, so this was like that 3-page spread. Let's see if this works. All right, you can get up now. Be careful.
Uh-oh. Do not make any comments about my weight.
I won't. You were right before. It's not your fault. Let's hope we're not stranded on an island.
Couldn't we just build a raft in that case?
Oh, you're able to do that? Because I sure am not. At least this bird has better manners than the bigger one.
It threw up on you.
Thank you. I remember that.
It was kind of funny.
No, it was not. Whoa! Wait, don't go yet. Do you know where the fox is? He hasn't shown up yet. Nothing's wrong, is it? Look, I know the seagulls can speak, so if you can too, would you please do so?
Hello?
Ah, yes, excellent. Hello. Do you know where
Hello? Hello? Good day. Good evening. Hello? Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
I think it wants you to let it go.
Goodbye.
No help there, apparently.
Birds are idiots.
So yeah, without seeing the pages, it's hard to put that in context, but it was a fun scene. And some of those sound effects in there, the one with the wings flapping, that's when I kind of broke my $400 field recorder, because I was like, I'm going to wave this wire in front of it sitting on a counter. I'm like, whack.
Did it sound like wings flapping? You can be honest.
Yeah, I have to play it back a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was at least, it achieved the effect that I could produce, at least. That's not going to work. And it has to hit the floor and break.
Oh, okay.
And actually, I did a live stream when I was editing a lot of this audio down and making the whole thing. And I actually played back the whole clip of when it hit the floor. And, you know, it didn't sound like much on it, except when I picked it up, I'm like, yeah, cool, I'm just going to plug my headphones back in. And, oh, well, apparently I destroyed that. So, whoops, that was a $170 mistake. Thank you, Zoom Audio, for not making me pay $400 for a new one again. They're really nice.
Good stuff. Now I've got a question for this guy in the middle now that he's decided to join us. So how many folks have heard of Brendan Becker / Inverse Phase? Okay. This guy ran MAGFest for how long?
9-10 years.
9-10 years you ran MAGFest. And then you left MAGFest and you are now operating as an independent composer. And that's your goal. You're just like, look, I want to friggin' write music. I love... I love 8-bit stuff. I love chip stuff. I want to write this kind of stuff. I want to work for games. I want you to give us a synopsis of your experience of since you left MAGFest and since you've been writing for games. What's it been like, and don't hold anything back.
Sodium-filled days and nights. 2,000 milligrams is how much sodium is in a packet of ramen.
I don't think that's
and
healthy.
It's so delicious.
What flavor?
Oriental.
Ooh.
Actually, I really like the teriyaki beef yakisoba. That's very spendy though. That's like 58 cents at Walmart. But you know, you really taste that extra, you know, like quarter.
Isn't there? What about the kimchi flavor? Or that's like that's a.
Oh, I like the spicy ramen, but I also don't like the shits. So I save that for, you know, when I'm a little bit, you know, not regular. it's been fun. Real talk. I get to talk to composers and musicians that I really look up to, and do stuff and whatever. And I did a Nine Inch Nails album, and I got to meet Trent Reznor. And like I did an album that had "Send Me an Angel," you know, the song from like The Wizard when they're on the road. And the dude is like from New Zealand. And like I just sent him an email out of the blue. I was like, oh, that band still exists and they have a webpage. It hasn't been updated in like 5 months. Maybe I'll just send him an email and be like, hey, are you guys cool with a Nintendo version of this song? And I don't know if you know what a chiptune is, but you know, and like kind of tried to keep it friendly, not talking down to him or whatever. And he like replies and he's like, send me a copy when it's done. By the way, my part for the song was written on a Casio VL tone, so I totally know what a chiptune is. And I sent it back to him, and he's like, you nailed the guitar solo. I can't do that anymore. Congrats. And so you hear weird stuff like that, and it's kind of fun, you know. I'm going to loop back to your point a minute ago about talking to people and getting through things and, like, just getting over it and doing it. Do you know why this guy is here? Because I sent him an email. Like, I mean, let's use another example that seems a little bit more daunting. Who here knows that guy named John St. John? Duke Nukem, something like that? I cold called him in his studio. So I picked up the phone. There's a phone number for, you know, booking gigs or whatever for John on his website. Picked up the phone, called the phone number on his website, got a receptionist or something like that, and I was like, so this is kind of weird. I'm a guy, and I kind of run this like gigantic video game party with a rock concert, and you could think about it as a convention if you want to, but that's not really what it is. And we don't have any money because this was, you know, like 6 years ago when we really actually didn't have any money. And I was just like, we kind of want to invite him to come down, and we don't know how that's going to... And she's like, shut up. I'll go get him. Hold on. I was like, I'm not interrupting. She's like, he's in the studio. He'll think this is a hoot. And like 15 seconds later, I'm talking to Duke Nukem on the phone. And I'm like, so we have this video game party with a rock concert, and we thought you might like to go. What do you think? He's like, well, tell me more. And I was like, well, so you have like Comic-Con and PAX and E3 and all these like big, you know, big name conventions and whatever, and that's not us. And I you know, at events like that, you can bring a bunch of, you know, like posters or pictures of yourself and like sign them and shit and sit around at a table all day. Or really, honestly, option 2 is you could just walk around and fuck with people in the Duke Nukem voice. And he's like, that sounds like a lot of fun. Do you think I could like maybe MC some things? And I was like, do you think that you could MC some things? I was like, here's the deal. We'll make your trip free. We'll fly you out. We'll put you up in a room. We'll feed you if you need to. We don't have any more money than that, and I don't want there to be any misconceptions about, you know, like this being a baller status event or anything, which it has kind of turned into, but it definitely was not back then. And he was like, whatever, dude, it sounds like fun. I might have a gig on New Year's night because I play in a cover band. And if I don't, then I'll come then. And if I do, then I'll just come the next day. And that was the end of the conversation. Like, that is how I got John St. John to come to MAGFest. So you don't need to applaud me. The point is this shit is easy.
Oh, yeah,
if you
hell
want to get
yeah,
a
we
job, just start talking to people. Talking to people, like, the problem with trying to be creative as like a gamer or like in a nerdy media or whatever is that we're really at heart, we're all introverts, like 90% of us. And you need to look at communication with people as like a choose your own adventure book. I use that analogy and it seems to work with people. What up? No. What-
He stopped running MAGFest, and then he makes music all night instead. So
I'm a little bit less stressed out, but the problem is that now I've moved from MAGFest stress to writing music stress, which is a different kind of stress. Running MAGFest stress was actually causing me to break out in hives.
Yeah, you look pretty good, man.
Yeah, and now you can see a couple places where I'm like breaking out a little bit, and part of that is actually just because I'm at MAGFest, and so it's like everyone wants something from me, but there's also like music jobs. Like I just did an entire tribute album to the original Binding of Isaac, and put it out, and it was pirated 3 hours later. So I got, maybe, I don't know, like 50 to 75 sales or something like that, which I guess that's all right, whatever. And then I got whiny on the internet because that's a thing. And I created a coupon code that dropped the price of the album to $1, and the coupon code is Don Pizza is a pirate, because I figured out the guy that pirated it on FF Shrine and whatever, and then wrote a big long like 5-page article on piracy and whatever, and like we're all guilty of piracy. So nowhere in the article actually do I say don't pirate things. The message of the article is if you're going to pirate, be a fan. And I think that looping back to your actual question about what is it like going from MAGFest to like being an indie musician or whatever, is when you're the little guy and you're just getting started. One, everyone on the internet is a dick, and two, just get your shit out there, and three, don't expect to make any money until you're actually known, which takes a lot longer than you think it does. And four, I don't fucking remember four.
I don't either.
But the point is like, it's really an interesting ride. Get ready for a ride. That ride is a lot longer than you think it is, and you're going to be screaming on that roller coaster until it stops. And guess what? It doesn't. So don't be afraid to talk to people in the meantime. Should I? Oh, I'm on film. Am I? Oh God. Okay, so let's go to admission time. Anyone want to hear one of my deep dark secrets?
I do.
Go for it, man.
The only person that knows it is this guy, and that is. This guy asked me to write a 6-minute like magnum opus for a game, and originally he asked me for 6 1-minute tracks that we're gonna loop, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a game, like stage music's about a minute long, right? And then it just loops over and over again. He sends me an email like a week later. He's like, I'm really sorry. I meant, can you send me 1 6-minute track? It's like, oh my God, you're asking me to like pull a Dream Theater or something and write like prog chip that, and this is before loops, so like 6 minutes of non-repeating material or whatever, and I hit like, pretty much. So I was like, I hit the 4-minute mark, and I'm like, I'm just really grasping for straws here, and I just sent a message to Alex, and I was like, Alex, do you have any like riffs that you can't do anything with? And he said no. And then he just wrote some for me instead. So then I transposed and transcribed all of his riffs into straight direct NES, and now the song is 5 minutes and 16.
Right?
Huh?
It's Famitracker, right?
Well, Soundtracker NG, but everything's the same as Famitracker. But like so, the entire point of that admission is don't be afraid to ask your friends for help, because I think that can really help you out in getting your media or creative endeavor to fruition. But your friends are not your fans. Your friends are your supporters. And it's very important to make that distinction as well.
If you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter.
So technically,
Yeah, I just totally like spewed out a whole bunch of, I don't even know. Did you cover all of that before? I don't know if I repeated.
That was somewhat. What I definitely want to do is I want to embarrass this guy on the end.
Oh,
First of all,
please.
thank you for that. There's a thing you know how you get, anybody here get stuff stuck in their head?
Uh-huh.
And you just can't get it out of your head, and every so often you have to say it, or you have to experience it, or whatever it is in terms of to satisfy that craving. Well, this guy created. We're going to skip a little bit closer to the end, right? We're not going to go through the whole 5-minute thing. This guy created a character called Jennifer without the E. It's like Jennifer F-R.
without the without
the
an
E.
N, I think. So it's like a short Jennifer.
Yeah, but Jennifer with an E, right?
I can't remember. Oh yes, Jenifer.
F-E-R. Okay, Jennifer. Okay, so Jennifer is this retarded ship's computer that has seen better days, and essentially sounds like this.
It sounds a little worse than that.
And that captured my imagination. And Jennifer is in this skit called Jennifer in the Rain, and towards the end, there's some very catchy things that get spoken. So I just wanted to play that for all of you.
Well, and actually, there's two different versions of Jennifer. There's the retarded ship computer that used to be smart and kind of just got a little special. And then there's the human version of Jennifer, because ship computers can't walk in the rain.
That's
can
true,
they?
yeah.
So, yes, and actually the reason I made this original kind of track thing, back in the earlier OC Remix days, Larry Ogie, one of the OC Remix guys, he had a college radio show called BG Frequency. And he used to always start it off with just kind of these loops of waves crashing while he was setting stuff up in the studio. So I made him kind of a bullshit track thing to use as a loop instead. And it was Jennifer in the Rain, which is 5.5 minutes long.
Did he use that on his show?
Yes, he
did.
Oh my God. So that made it technically on the airwaves, and he thought it was hilarious. Music. Yeah, so I made the whole thing. It was completely unscripted. I just hit record on my computer. I'm like, let's go with this. But I'm going to skip way ahead on it because technically we're out of time, but I don't think anyone's kicking us out yet. So let's see here. How far ahead was that? That was near the end. So basically, Jennifer is walking around the rain going, "Oh, I'm getting wet," and all this stuff, and keeps walking into these alleys and finding quarters and a drunk dude and all this stuff, and annoying people, and annoys this old man.
Lies the threat, but due to his lack.
God, that's the detective. Screw
That's the detective.
We want Jennifer in the Rain.
That's right.
Where is Jennifer in the Rain?
That was in the other folder that you had with music and things.
Wait. Sorry, that's under music and acty
Music
thingies.
and acty thingies. There you go.
Wait a minute. There it is, Jennifer in the Rain. By the way, I am really organized.
Off you though. You up there? No, so much water everywhere. And not a place to pee. No. Go. Hey, you up there? I gotta pee.
Who gives a fuck?
I gotta pee.
Oh, you're laughing, huh?
I really good.
I can't hold that fucking face for very long, can you, Jennifer?
Hey, fuck you, man. You try talking like this.
No, you try talking like this for 5.5 frickin' minutes. No. It's still raining.
So, yeah. Anyway.
If you take one thing away
so, yeah,
from this.
I was literally talking like that for 5.5 minutes, just making stuff up as I went. And I'm having to visualize these other characters interacting as I'm just making this up. So I'm imagining the old man saying that, and then I just kind of lost it. So I started laughing.
If you take anything away from this, it should be the ability. If somebody happens to be calling up to you saying, "I gotta pee," and you can say, "Who gives a fuck?"
Like a pirate.
"We gotta pee."
So now, before we get kicked out,
Yes.
maybe, should we see if anybody has a question?
We're gonna take like Q&A for literally about 5 minutes. Like with this expertise, I mean, honestly, he's
I
like,
don't know what
this
you could
guy's
possibly
this guy's a
ask.
master technician. So like he pretty much fixes anything. Plus the fact that he's got this experience with VO stuff. We've got Brendan who goes from running a show to creating awesome chip tunes and whatever the hell I've done. So if anybody's got any questions about anything, go ahead and ask. Anybody got any questions?
You can ask what our favorite ramen noodle flavor
You can ask
is.
what the ramen noodle flavor is. You can ask like if we've ever been kicked in the nuts. You can ask if
Yes.
like we've ever had any issues with like. Oh wait, what? Go ahead.
I have a panel at 1:30 a.m. in panel 4 that I would love to answer that at. That does not belong in this 5-minute block. I can spend an hour telling you what I think of MAGFest or more. So I don't think that we should not, huh? It's 1:30 a.m. It's in panel 4, and the panel is actually called Ask Me Anything. So that I think that is the super appropriate place for that. However, I will turn this around and I will ask you a question, and that is,
Lord,
what is your favorite shade bob out of a demo?
My favorite shape bob?
Yes. Or just your favorite demo scene effect. Let's make it easy.
Oh yeah, my favorite demo scene effect would have to be
Mr. Siren.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay. You remember anybody? You remember "Dope" by Complex?
Okay. Yeah.
How many? Wait. First, demo scene. Anybody know what the demo scene is? All right. Let's give a brief explanation. The demo scene is something that started, I believe, in Europe. U.S., kind of around the same time, but I believe really it sort of it grew a lot in Europe. This group called Future Crew and a number of other folks in Europe and Finland and Scandinavia, as Germany and other places, took the Amiga computer and started making it do amazing things by writing just music, using mods, and doing graphics with that nobody else could really do at the time. And it got such attention that folks like Microsoft and Intel started having things called parties where they could do demo scene competitions, and the people that won those demo scene competitions, some of them would get invited to work at Microsoft and Intel because they were badass programmers. So these effects that were shown on the Amiga, one of them actually was a PC one, and the one that I'm thinking of is it's like a metallic effect on something that's like round that just constantly changes its shape, and that was in the Dope demo, and I don't remember what the hell it was called.
I think I know what you're talking about, though.
Yes, it was.
And since I'm the one asking the question, it's fine.
Okay, I want to say chromium or something like that, but it was more technical than that. So while other folks think of other questions, I'm going to look it up.
I'm going to summarize your demo scene thing even more. Think computer music videos, except it's a competition and you're limited to a certain amount of size. And remember, back then floppy disks were a thing. So usually, there would be a 64K or a full floppy disk or something like that would be your size limit. And you would have to do an entire, something that runs for 3 to 5 minutes, does 3D on hardware that doesn't know what 3D is, does music that is synchronized to that hardware, and do it all on a computer that's it was actually, even before the Amiga, the Commodore 64 is not even 1 megahertz. Is 980 kilohertz.
At the shows that I used to go to, one of them was called TP. We all laughed about it because it sounded like toilet paper. Yeah, TP95 in Denmark. One of the demos that we saw was on a Commodore 64, and it was in 32K, and it was the equivalent of Wolfenstein 3D. Somebody somehow fit Wolfenstein 3D, the game, into a 32K Commodore demo, and that just.
And since then, Farbroush rewrote something that looks about as good as Quake 3 in 96 kilobytes on a PC.
That's freaking amazing.
And it's procedurally generated, so instead of storing level data, it actually pulls from different areas of the system and runs an algorithm to generate the level from scratch, so that they don't have to store any like level data or anything like
Come on,
that.
you all had classes like that in high school, right? Y'all can do that. Come on. Yeah, that's easy. Jesus.
Show of hands, how many heads did we just fly over? Don't be embarrassed, it's fine.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Any other
We're super nerds.
any other random questions?
Yeah, ask us stuff.
Anything.
What's
anything.
up? I saw your hand glitch.
Okay. So the question was, where do you go if you want to take like something like audio and you want to combine it with other things like art or programming or production work or video, anything along those lines? Okay, that's a really, really great question. Fong blur. I'm sorry, that's the name of the effect. Fong
okay,
blur.
Fong shading.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't morphing, but it was the equivalent of like sort of it was a kind of blur.
I get it.
There's several resources that you can meet folks at. First of all, oddly enough, if you do searching for Facebook for like if you like specifically if you say like video pros or like people that know Autodesk or people that know 3D Studio or people that know Maya, tool sets that deal in the kind of thing that you're looking for. If you troll around on places like Facebook, not troll specifically, but if you just ask around, yeah, it's just like need people, come on, pay attention. You'll find a lot of reticent folks that are just like, okay, like, what do you need? Like, I'll be happy to answer your questions. You know, like if you want to combine resources to create a demo, let's figure something out. Let's see what we can do. As long as I get credit, like let's hook up. And the same goes for like video. There's folks that I know that YouTube comments aren't the best necessarily placed, but oddly enough, there are several places and people that are pros that I've actually looked up what they do on YouTube, and I actually make a comment and I say, hey, I know we can't list emails or anything on this site, but could you please respond to me specifically? And there's a hidden YouTube messaging system, and I say, could you get back to me? And there was a guy that was an expert on Premiere, CS4. This was back in the day. And he answered some questions for me on video there. So there's all kinds of places that you can go to literally to just be like, hey, it looks like you're pretty good at what you do, and I'm just curious if, like you saying, just reaching out and going like, why don't... Now, it doesn't always work. Like, how many folks here have heard of Beyond the Mind's Eye series? It's an old computer animated... Yes! It's an old computer animated series that was on DVD and on TV in which like you had like all this 3D animated stuff that was done to music, very similar to demo scene stuff. But it was done, these were like high quality renderings, and some of it was used in the movie Lawnmower Man and stuff like that. So it turns out like the guy that created that, and I don't even remember his name, like his, what? Well, Jan Hammer did the music for it. This was like, the actual, I wanted to look up the producer, and I was going to see if that guy was willing to like collaborate on something new. Now, I emailed the guy once and didn't hear back right away, right? Like, I didn't actually pursue it. That doesn't mean to say that that guy wouldn't actually respond. So, anyway, I diverge a little bit. I'd like you guys to potentially answer that same
I'd love to
question.
pitch in on that. Are you talking about games? Anything? I can give you game-related advice, and one of them is that TigSource is a very good website with forums with people just constantly offering themselves up. And some of them are like, yo, I want money, and others are like, yo, I don't want money, I just want to get my name out there. So that's one thing. Two, find your local IGDA chapter, Independent Game Developers Association. That's an excellent place just to find, even though all of and the other thing is like, even though these are like specifically game related, you can probably just be like, listen, I love games, so I'm here, but I would really like to do something not game related with other artistically minded people. And that's a great thing to do. Find a game jam. There's one at MAGFest. Here, just ask around, like go to a panel with someone that does something that you like, and just ask the person if they know anyone, like stuff like that. It's amazing what you can get done if you don't use the internet, because remember rule 1, everyone on the internet is a dick. But seriously, like, I mean, the internet is a good place, but if you can make a connection in person and see someone's like art live, what's your art? Is it visual art or is it music? So you're a visualist. So what you want to do is find musicians that want visual art, like me. I'm begging for visual art all the time on Twitter. And guess what? It doesn't work. So, I mean, but the point is like approach the people that find someone small that you really like their work, that you think you could do something awesome for, and just do it. You know, do a music video for a song that you really like, but the song is like on SoundCloud and only has like 100 listens, shit like that, and just put it up there. Or email the person and ask permission to do it, and then just do it. Or, you know, even just do a 30-second clip of it or something like that. Because, in my opinion, really the way to get noticed and to get your work out there and whatever is to get in people's faces. So that's my official advice for that. But Take Source, Game Jams, IGDA, and I had... there's depending on your visual style, you might want to check. I think it's called Pixel Zone, or something like that. 3 people asked me to put my work on Pixel Zone or something.
And there's DeviantArt.
Yeah, there's. I mean, you can do DeviantArt. You can find people on YouTube. You can, you know.
And there's people that get together in depending on locales, like whether I mean, in Austin there's a special group. There's a group called AUGA, which is Autodesk Animator User Association or something like that, and they meet like once a month, and they have a bunch of folks that get together, and sometimes musicians, sometimes programmers will show up at all of those things because it involves Unity, the engine, as well, and they collaborate, and they're just like, hey, I didn't know you had that skill, and then they hook up. So yeah.
Oh, and Hackspaces. Hackspaces are great. You want to say something?
Hackspace. Well, I don't have experience like you guys, but I did produce TV commercials for many years, so I made all my own crap.
Just do it all yourself. There's another answer.
Do it live.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we're quite a bit over here, but we can certainly hang out a little bit, and if people still want to ask some questions, maybe in a small group, we could do that, because I don't know what's in here next.
Anything else?
Cosplay?
There's cosplay? Okay.
Like the actual cosplay contest? Oh. Oh.
Cool.
Wait a minute. MAGFest has like a real cosplay not roast now?
What has this event turned into?
I know. This is saddening.
So anyway, yeah, we can certainly hang around a little bit if anybody wants to chat, ask some more questions before we get... What? Enhance.
You want to make some videos? Well, send me an email, please. Please.
Rockin'.
Pretty please.
So, yeah, thanks everybody that actually hung around and listened to us talk about random nonsense.
Morgan Freeman says thank you so much and have a badass MAGFest.
MAGFest.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And now we watch my laptop screen disappear. 3, 2, 1.
Contact.
And here comes that terrible noise.
It's not really that bad, actually.
It is when I do this.
Your body, it is 60 hertz.
Really?
About.
I just learned something new and scientific. My body is 60 hertz.
It's about
I
that.
produce
It's pretty close.
124. Wait, no, that wouldn't be 124.
But the real question is, how many frames a second can you see?
I'm suddenly fascinated by science. Let's just talk about science now.
Rehabilitated? Well, let's see. I'm not even sure what that means.
Well, it means that you're ready to enter society.
I know what you think it means, Sonny. To me, it's just a made-up word. A word that people like you can wear a suit and tie and have a job. What do you really want to know? Am I sorry for what I did? Well, are you? It's not a day goes by I don't feel regret. I want to go back all that time to that stupid, cocky kid that committed that terrible crime. I want to talk to him. But that kid's long gone, and this old man is all that's left. So you go on and stamp your stamp and fill out your form. Stop wasting my time, because in truth, Sonny, I don't give a shit.
Did anybody see his performance last night reenacting the entire script of Jaws from memory with all the character voices? Because that was awesome.
Did we make a video?
And what was even more
okay,
awesome
great,
was the
good.
fact that there were
probably
4
won't go up on
scenes
YouTube,
that he
but
apparently missed that
way
someone
I
in
can
the
at
audience knew from heart.
Video from Ops.
So yes, apparently since panels are recorded, that's probably archived, so you should definitely watch it later when MAGFest makes it available. Seriously, that was awesome.
And we
How
get
do
a
you memorize all
takedown
this?
order on YouTube. How many copyright strikes will we get? What will be really great, though, this would be good. This happens to me sometimes. I get audio takedown notices because the triangle wave on the NES is so close to the bass line in certain songs that I actually get an automated content ID takedown. So the question is, will you get a content ID takedown for your voice? You should try to do this with a channel that is like bullshit and just see if you can, you know.
See how close I imitate Robert Shaw so that it says, "You are too close to Robert Shaw's waveform." My God.
It could happen.
This is the future. It's not Ghost in the Shell. It's not Appleseed. It's YouTube telling you that you're too close to Robert Shaw. That's brilliant.
Yep.
That would be funny. About the cuttlefish? Which cuttlefish?
No, like,
Oh my God, no.
have you seen like Sad Cat Diary?
No.
What? Sad? Really?
No, I've watched
Well-
Charlie the Unicorn, but I haven't seen.
Holy
Sad
fuck.
Cat.
Okay. What this panel is becoming is this panel is becoming Alexander
internet?
Brandon watches Sad Cat Diary for the first time right now. Do it. YouTube.
All right.
Just YouTube for Sad
Of course,
Cat
I
Diary.
shut my laptop
I'll put the
down.
mic up to here,
Well,
so
yeah,
at least
we
you
can,
guys can see it.
or I'll put
hear
it up to this.
Oh, wait, the laptop
and,
doesn't have
and you can
internet, sorry.
respond on the other mic or however.
Sad Cat Diary?
Yes.
Okay, Sad
I can't believe. Oh my God, this is amazing.
Actually, what I should
This
have
is
done.
so good.
Oh, no, I've seen
I should have brought up
this.
the webcam on my
Yeah,
laptop.
hold on. It's the one
and then
where,
he held his
it's the
phone
one where
in
there's a
front of
cat
it.
going.
I decided to poop in my something.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
All right.
yeah, I've seen that.
So the same guy does a series of true facts about the whatever animal.
Oh,
And
okay.
so true facts about the cuttlefish is
Okay.
okay. Crisis averted.
True facts about Morgan Freeman. Has anybody seen that? God, I haven't seen that. All right.
Anyway,
We could
if you can imitate Z Frank's voice, which you pretty much kind of just did because it's very close to Morgan Freeman.
I decided to poop in my master's thing.
Right? Isn't that what the cat sounds
Kind
like?
of like that, yeah.
And I don't know if my life is worth living anymore.
All right.
Is your iPhone done loading?
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, I've already seen Sad Cat
Yeah.
Diary.
Okay.
You saw the dog one too, though, right?
No, Sad Dog Diary.
Oh, okay. All right. So this panel is now becoming Sad Dog Diary. Yes.
All right. Okay. Sad Dog Diary. Here we go. We'll do that one.
Here. Yeah. I'll put it up to.
Okay. Yeah.
Where the fuck is the mic on an iPhone?
It's at the bottom.
Has never sniffed my backside. I must bond with him in different ways. Like my father always used to say, if you want someone to look you in the eye, make sure that your mouth smells exactly like your butt. It's difficult to argue with that logic. And so I have eaten some rotting earthworms in preparation for my dear human's return, as well as one of his socks. Dear Diary, it's not so much that I miss my testicles. I know it's a rite of passage in our pack, and I'm sure that my dearest human has had his removed as well. But when that one bulldog comes to the dog park and parades his testicles around, I can't help but notice how Ginger looks at them. I love Ginger. To be fair, I will admit, he has a fine-smelling butthole. Dear Diary, the cat is a curious, magical creature. It's as if a teddy bear mated with a cactus, and it's much less fun to play with than it would appear. And yet it poops delicious candy into a box of pea-flavored sprinkles. Dearest human guards these treats jealously, often harvesting them into a barrel. But I will admit that I sneak one from time to time. They are delicious. Forgive me. Dear Diary, this is the 733rd day that I have tried to test what Kat swore to me was true. Namely, that if you hump anything long enough, you will find a vagina. So far, the results have been mixed. My dearest human's leg vagina has not revealed itself. However, I'm almost certain that I felt something on the brown teddy bear. More tests are needed. Dear Diary, I have yet to see my dearest human poop anywhere. I suspect he may not know how. I have resolved to try and teach him when we patrol the neighborhood each day in search of men with hats and beards. It is embarrassing to do in public, but he must learn somehow. I fear he will die of constipation if I don't succeed. Fortunately, my dearest human seems to show some interest and is now collecting my feces in a small bag. Soon. Dear Diary, I must be more careful when licking my genitals. My dearest human seems sensitive about it, most likely because he's incapable of licking his own. As always, I am in awe of his ability to be so noble, despite what I can only imagine are filthy, filthy genitals. He hides them every day. Dear Diary, today I have added a fourth circle to my pre-pooping ritual. As before, the first circle is to verify that I do in fact need to poop. The second is to check for gremlins and men with beards and hats. The third is to re-verify my need for pooping. And now the fourth is to honor my newly deceased toy. Stuffed llama, rest in peace. I didn't mean to shake your head off. Dear Diary, I told the cat about how my dearest human has promoted me, teaching me to shake so I can participate in his business dealings. However, Cat pointed out that I'm often unaware of what I'm shaking on. For example, when I shook the neighbor's hand this morning, I have no clue what I agreed to. None. Cat says this is how the devil buys souls. I will pee on the bed for comfort. Dear Diary, my dearest human asked me where the ball was when it was clearly in plain sight. I brought it over, and he threw it even farther away, then asked me where it was, and was very happy when I brought it again. Perhaps a metaphor? Dearest human leaves each day, and I am happy when he returns. Wait, maybe he is the ball, and I am dearest human. This is too much. I must be on the bed.
Does anyone have a cat and a dog? The dog eating poop out of the litter box is really a thing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to say a thank you to Chris Serrani and thank you to Brendan Becker for regaling us with this magnificent Sad Dog Diaries. So give it up.
Is there anything after this? Oh, the cosplay roast is supposedly in here.
Okay. So we're gonna make way for.
Are
the
there any
cosplay
like
roast.
cosplayers to be roasted in here? Are you?
I can't roast you because
No.
you're a badass looking assassin. So
The point was actually just to ask you if that's what you were here for next.
there is no way to figure out if I can roast you in your cosplay. I must therefore pee on the bed. Well, the bed. I didn't mean it was yours.
Yes. Thanks, everybody.
Woo!